Well, we're going to be starting our fairy month for June. I will be doing 30 fairy gardens in 30 days. This is the very first one I'm starting with. Now, this is originally had all these plants in it, but they were smaller. And as you can tell, it really isn't that pretty anymore because everything is outgrown this container. This is coming way down here. This one is going all the way up here, and it needs to be trimmed and cut, both big pieces. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to throw them away. It just means I'm going to cut them and I'm going to put them in another container and make more fairy gardens. I find that if you mess more with succulents in your fairy gardens, they will last longer and you'll have less trouble with them. These plants have been in this container at least 1 year, maybe 2. I can't remember when I did this one, but it's at least over a year old. The reason why I'm thinking it might be 2 is that this has really grown a lot, and this one has really grown a lot. And I'm going to take both these big pieces and cut them off and let them callus over, and I will be making some more fairy gardens. So let me go get my clippers and we'll start cutting. Now you can see it's already starting to look a lot better that I've trimmed some of this off. I'm still going to trim a little bit more. I don't like the way this trunk here is coming out. I'm going to trim it, and I'm going to maybe see if I can't even plant that trunk in something and see what happens. You know what happens when you trim something and it doesn't work? Oh well, it didn't work. But if it does work, you got another plant. So with the 2 cuttings I have here, I have 2 more plants, or maybe 3. This one's definitely going to be in one container, and this one also maybe I might cut it in half. It's sort of big, and see if I can use it in 2 different places. We'll see. Now I don't know what that one's going to do, but it was sticking out too much from here. Now it looks much more manageable, and I'm going to be a lot happier with it. I'm going to get some small little succulents and put them in these little planters in front, and I might even put something in the windows. I'm trying to decide. And there's another little planter. So I've had this building at least a year or 2. I can't remember when I bought it. I have to go back and look on my videos. It's at least a year or 2 years old. And I'm thinking almost 2, because I honestly don't think these plants would have gotten this big in 1 year. Succulents usually grow a little slower. So let's see what else I can do with this. Don't know if you can see it. This is the windows, one of the windows to my fairy house. And do you see the little metal grating, like metal fencing there? That's keeping all the soil in. And we'll see what I can do. And all the windows are the same way. And this is what it looks like a little bit better when you don't see anything in front of it and you're behind it. See, all the little grating keeps all the plants and soil contained inside. So I'm going to try to get everything nice and damp in here and watered really good and thoroughly. And then I'm going to try to plant all these little window boxes now. I think I'm going to just leave this the way it is, because I think it looks fine. I really don't want to get it too crowded in there, and I think how it looks right now, it looks fine. The only thing I might end up trying to do, see if I can put some kind of support to make that thing go straight instead of leaning forward. Maybe I might try to do something about that. That might be the only thing. As you can see, I got a new baby coming up here. So we'll see if I can do something about that. Everything else looks pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with. I might take a couple of these off still. Okay, let's get busy and see what we can do with this. And just because you get a crack in one of your one of your fairy houses like this one, I don't throw things away just because they get cracks or holes or something in them. Might last another 4 or 5 years looking like this. This is at the corner back, so you're not even going to be able to see it once it's back in the fairy garden. I just want you to know you don't have to throw things away. I have a lot of things broken, and as long as it's not so bad that can't be used at all, I try to keep reusing it. I'm going to show you some other pieces that are broken that we're going to use this year. So when you see something broken, just don't throw it in the trash. You might be able to use it another year. Bye-bye for now. Well, not bye. We're going to go do something else here. I wanted to show you I got some cuttings off some of my plants. I'm going to trim them some more. And I'm going to put them over here in these little containers. I'm going to put a little bit more fresh potting mix in them and make sure it's moist for when I put it in. These plants will have some moisture. Well, I got some fresh potting mix, as you can see, and I've got it wet, and I'm going to restuff all these little window things, and I'm going to take some of these cuttings off and stick it in there and have something growing out of those little areas. Believe it or not, I had them last year looking really cute, so we'll see how it goes this year. Now to put my little tiny plant in here, I'm going to use a little stick and make a little tiny indention. You can see it, a little indention in there. Hope you can see it's so dark in the shade here. For I can work this little plant in here. And then I'm going to push the soil around it and tighten it down. And there we do. We have a little plant in the window sill. Let's see if we can make it look a little bit nicer. Well, there's one window done. Let's see if we can get the other ones done. Now you can see I have this one all planted up too. So all my windows, except for one, I think maybe I have one more I still need to do. Got that one, and this one looks like it's already planted in there too, and I don't know if I want to mess with that or not. May just leave it alone. Might cut off this one right here that's poking out and see if I can't stick it further in there. Let's see how that turns out. I decided to go ahead and put the matching one next to it instead. I'll go ahead and use this one on something else. Will not go to waste. The great thing about succulents, you can do whatever you want. And they just live forever, it seems like, as long as you give them some water, not too much. Sorry, I got so much sun, this is not a good time. Okay, just gonna put it down here for right now, and I'll work on it some more tomorrow and put it back in the backyard where it belongs. Right now I'm just leaving it where it's gonna be sort of in the shade and give it a chance. I might even leave it here for 2 or 3 days. We'll see. Good morning to all my awesome family and friends that stopped by to check out this fairy garden I am sharing today. Believe it or not, hard to believe, this is 100% free fairy garden. How could that be? Because Grandma used everything she already had from previous fairy gardens from past years. And most of all these plants are from last year also. Even these plants were from last year. They are not new plants. And the one back there is from last year also. I did have to use a little bit of my fencing to pick them up off the ground because they were laying all around the ground, as you can tell. Because I wanted this to look like a really nice fairy garden. Now the rest of the plants you see are cuttings that remember I told you I was going to go give my fairy gardens a haircut. All these plants were in past fairy gardens
and I gave them haircuts and found things I could bring over to this one. So I had 2 of these, one here and one over here. I cut the bottom petals off and I made the walkway to the fairy house with them. Those are petals off my succulent. I thought it looked pretty nice. You probably wouldn't even know they were the leaves off of my succulents if I hadn't told you. And these are off another little plant. Thought they were really cute and they look good next to this one right here. And this one was blooming, so I went ahead and cut it anyway. And it looked really nice next to the corner of this house. And this one was cut off another succulent garden. I thought it looked really nice. And of course, I mentioned yesterday about these flowers. Weren't they pretty? And I said, let's cut it and make a little tree for my fairy house. And I thought it turned out really good too. What do you think? I was very happy with it. Now the house I've had for a couple of years, and all the plants that are inside this house have been in there at least a year or two. So they weren't new, it's just they were getting so big and overran, I had to trim them to make some room. So this is what a free fairy garden can look like. In Grandma Sandy's yard. I hope you enjoyed this tour. We have a lot of more fairy gardens to come. Don't forget, some of the little ones I might put 2 or 3 together. When I get one this big, it's probably just going to be one, because there was a lot to do to this one. And it's pretty big. Please leave me a comment and let me know how you liked this one. I was very happy how it turned out. The detail work on this little house, little planters on the sides, the little hinges on the door, in the door handle, the little steps. And this one, because I've had it for several years, even got a little piece in the back broke off, as I showed you earlier in the video. Don't throw something away just because something like that happened. It can still be used. You just don't try to show it. You would have never known this would have had a little break or a crack in the back, because it was in the back. And more than likely, even if it was in the front, I probably still would have used it, because I have a lot of things this year that are going to have to get fixed. I already noticed, and some things are going to be thrown away. But because I'm not buying anything new this year, some of the cracked and broken pieces, this one I would not throw away, because it's in the back, you're not going to see it, and also it's one of my favorite little houses that I got. So this would not be something I would ever probably throw away if it was really broke bad. And then I would probably go looking to see if I could find something similar, because I love it so much. But I've had this a long time, so it's one of my favorite pieces, and I hope you agree. It's a beautiful piece, and my succulents seem like they're really happy in there. Probably you'll have to give it another good trim job next time around too. But just using cuttings, look how pretty it does look. And all these cuttings and succulents are even going to be prettier next year in the same area. Now it does get all morning sun, so it will get bright over here. But the nice thing about this area, it gets no hot afternoon sun. So my succulents will probably do just fine in here. And this whole area still needs to be cleaned up. Some of it has already been cleaned up, but some of it hasn't. So we'll do a little tour of this area of the garden probably in maybe another 3 or 4 weeks, maybe longer. Whenever I can get over here and get this really cleaned out good. Compared to what it did look like, it's looking great. but there's still a lot of things that need to be cleaned. As you can see, this is my blueberry bush over here. And over here is some strawberries. So I have food items sparkled all around this area. And next year there are going to be a lot more plants, food plants in here. And I will probably put maybe 1 or 2 more fairy gardens in here also. Everything, you know, you just keep working on it every year a little more and a little more. I show you very pretty parts of my yard. My whole yard is not pretty. Some of it looks pretty bad. But every year I get a little bit more done, and as you're going to start seeing, I'm going to have more fairy gardens like this that are done with succulents. Because now that I've put this almost all into succulents, I will have to add a few more things for color. And this container, well, this isn't even a container. This really is just a little bit of a raised bed. But it's pretty big, and it still needs to have a lot more done to it. But maybe we'll put some food items in here maybe next year, because I want to get more food items all through my garden. Well, I guess this is all I have to say. Don't forget, guys. Sorry I sound so bad. I had to get up at 5:30 this morning to take these pictures, for I wouldn't have sun in my fairy garden. So my voice sounds terrible, I know. Well, anyway, my channel is designed, as you all know, for adults interested in gardening, home decor, cooking, cleaning, DIYs, shopping hauls, and anything else Grandma comes up with. Now, if you've watched to the very end, kisses and hugs to all my favorite ones. I love you all so much for coming and staying to the very end. You deserve all the loves and kisses I can possibly make. Thank you so much again. Until next year, or the next video, or the next hour. Who knows what Grandma will come up with. Bye-bye for now. Love you all so much. Take care.